So you can see here actually that we have you guys already saving this. But that sign is way too small because somebody comes from that side, they don't see it, and they're going to go, whooshum, oh, that's a lovely cabbage, and they take it home with them, you know. So just to show an example, that one here is a very good one, and this one here, and that one there. So I would have those three as saving seeds. So that shows you that you always have to grow more than you would originally grow. Otherwise, you only end up with the smallest ones for eating, which is okay as well, because eventually your cabbages get healthier and bigger and better. Also with seeds as well is, after some time they acclimatize themselves to your soil, to the organisms in the soil. So if you're saving the seeds from the same garden, your seeds are just going to get better. They just get used to it more, you know. So it is worth doing, the seed saving, especially as well as we were saying earlier, isn't it? With all the GM crops and things like that, all these old seed varieties are really dying out, and you know we really need them, you know. So what's going to happen here now is this was maybe sown this spring or something like that, but it could have also been sown over winter in Ireland. I'm not sure. Here maybe it would be too cold, I don't know. But it probably was sown very early in spring, and then what will happen now is if you leave that go to seed, it'll probably overwinter a bit, and then it'll go to seed next year. But it could also go to seed depending on the variety this year, but doubtfully. It'd probably go to seed next year. So you have to leave those three here, and they go quite big. They're really tall plants when they go to seed, and they have millions of seeds, like literally millions of seeds. So from these three, you can feed the entire nation of France, I think. A little bit, close anyway. Because each pod has like 10 seeds, and they're really small, and each plant has like thousands and thousands of pods. So
when they will have flowers, do they need a veil?
Yeah, like like a fleece netting or something like that.
Yeah.
Many places actually what they do is they make a frame out of wood with this kind of thing, and this prevents other cabbages when they go to flower from cross-pollinating with these. So what you do is, that's why you have them close together as well. Then you build a little frame with fleece over it, and that then stops that. Only these guys can pollinate each other, and nothing else can really, get at them. So it's a good idea. But if you made separate ones, then it's defeating the purpose of having three. Do you understand? So so a fleece cage is very good in this case. For any kind of seed saving, that where you might have so many vegetables in one garden, and some of them going to seed from the same family, or maybe some weed seeds. A lot of weeds are related.
Yeah.
So it's quite it's quite a project for doing it really properly. But I mean, like I don't have those kind of cages or anything like that. So, and I get really nice vegetables still as well. It's a nice garden, and it's for the seed saving, but it's really not. It hasn't got the right kind of vegetables. Some of the vegetables here are not suitable for seed saving. They're just too small. There was not enough maybe care put into the growing of them. Now we know that you guys have a huge garden here, so it's really you should save seeds from the best crops. That's rule number one. You have to always save seeds from like the big like cabbages, and we have a cabbage over there in the corner, and it's very very small, so you wouldn't really save seeds from that. That's the first point. So I'd say for you guys to maybe talk to Michel and really say to him, look, can we really save seeds from your garden? Unless you put a lot of care into this garden and like put compost in and mulch it and different things like that, you're not going to get really good crops. And if you don't have really good crops, you can't save seeds. So that's the reality, so that's one reality. I would say the only thing you could save seeds from in this garden are those leeks, because they seem to see the big heads there on the one on the right and the one on the left. But you made a mistake. You've left a lot of the little small ones there. So you have a lot of little small heads, and that means that they're going to breed with your big heads. And so the next Leeks generation will be half the size maybe, or less anyway. It wouldn't be as good. So this goes for every vegetable. You want to make sure that all the vegetables here are like, if you're going to do seed saving, you want to kill all the ones that, or use them up first, eat them all. And just really leave the best. Like if you have one cabbage plant, that's not enough in order to save seeds. The more cabbage plants you have, the better. So if you have 5 is okay. Even if you only have 2, you can kind of get away with it with cabbage. But the more you have, the better, because the more genes will go into this one seed variety. You know. Any questions so far?
You tell it for cabbage only, or it's the same for all the vegetables?
This is pretty much all the same for all vegetables, really. You know, as we go through Michelle's garden, we will see different things. You know, and we can kind of have a look at we can talk about each kind of vegetables, you know, as we go along, because each one has a slight different approach. Okay, so with these courgettes, what you would do is courgettes are like pumpkins, and they're all from the same family, so they can actually crossbreed as well. But the way to avoid that is by a lot of people they take the flower of the courgette plant, the male flower, and they pollinate the female flower, and then they put a kind of a plastic bag over it so that nothing else can pollinate it. So that's one way of doing it with the courgettes. And with courgettes, I would use the biggest ones that you can find. Always select the one that looks the healthiest, the biggest. Also, then what I would do is I would wait until the courgette or the pumpkin grows a bit before I cut off the ends. And a lot of people cut off the ends when they see the first courgette or when they see the first pumpkin, and usually that one falls off then, and the whole plant has to start all over again. So wait until it's at least this big before you start cutting off ends, and what that does is it makes really, really big pumpkins and courgettes, and that way you get all the goodness going into one courgette, one pumpkin or zucchini or whatever it is. That's a good way. And also what you can do is you pick from one, like that one over there it's really big here, this one here.
Yeah.
And that one here. So these two, I think they look very similar, so I think they're related, they're the same thing. You can see they're pumpkins actually, because you can see the little pumpkin baby here. And here's another one. So that's the female flower. That's actually where the pumpkin grows, look. You can see the little seed. And then you have the male flower over here, which is this one here, that one here.
Is it different because of the color?
No, it just hasn't got a little pumpkin or a courgette thing, and the same with cucumbers as well. And basically, you would take this flower when it grows, pull it off, and then take off the flower petals, and then you would pollinate this one, and then you put a little bag over it to stop the other guys from pollinating, like the bees or whatever, you know. And then after some time, you would cut it about here, but only when the pumpkin when you can see that it's growing, you know, because if it's only like this big, it can still fall off. So that's the courgette family and the pumpkin family.
And if we find another, we don't make the same action in another flower. Only in one for one plant.
Yeah, only for one. And what you do is you don't allow any of the other ones to
we
go.
We get other flower.
Yeah, you just break them off, or yeah. But when you cut the end off, it's almost finito because you keep cutting the ends off. You just leave the leaves grow, because you need a lot of leaves for the sunlight to come in, and then the roots as well. They bring in the nutrients all to that one pumpkin or whatever.
Okay.
One courgette fruit, you know.
Oui.
So, for example, if this one becomes like that, we cut here.
Then you cut there, yes.
In order to keep all the energy for this one.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, correct.
Can you show it again for the film?
Show one, yeah.
What I did?
Yeah.
I told when this one is big like that, you cut here to keep the energy for this one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The
next
thing is potatoes, because this lady here is picking up potatoes. So how to save seeds for potatoes is very easy. So first of all, these are kind of the size you want for seed potatoes, but you must make sure that the plant looked healthy and there was no blight or anything like that. Blight is a very terrible disease, or any kind of diseases. It has to be completely disease-free in order to save it from seeds. And what a lot of people do for seed saving of potatoes commercially is they go above 800 feet or so, because the blight isn't there at that level. So a lot of them come from Scotland, a lot of seeds. And obviously organic seed potatoes are of course what we want to choose, you know. So there isn't really much to it. What you basically do is then you save your seeds. There's 3 different varieties. You have earlies, you have mid ones, and then you have the late crop as well. And they're different varieties basically. The earlies are really fast, so you can, you know, you save them, you keep them separate, you know, so that you can do different timings of potatoes when you sow them. And you have these little eyes. Eventually they will become little eyes, and you can then put them. I don't really put them in a tray to let them grow or anything like that. And I usually just leave, if I leave 1 eye, that means the potatoes will be really big. If you leave 3 eyes, it means that you get more potatoes but smaller. So depending on what you want, it's very easy to kind of control that.
How do you remove with the knife the eyes? How do you remove it?
Oh no, the eyes are the ones that grow into plants. But don't eat the eyes, because green potatoes are poisonous. So the green of the eye can be poisonous. The leaves are poisonous, so don't eat that, you know. So that's the potatoes. We'll go over to the very nice garden over here. So here you can see the leeks before they're going to go to seed, and at this point really you're going to decide which ones are going to be the ones you want to keep. You talk to Michelle and say, hey Michelle, can we keep, say, that one there, and so what I would do is I would select about the 10 best leek seeds. 10, yeah, at least, yeah, 10 best ones. Now when we get to flowers, I mean you can see these borage plants, there's no worries there. I mean you're going to get millions of seeds from that. So you can save all your own, and this is a really, really good plant. Most of these, look at the bees, they're just all over them, look. They're really like this, the bees really like this blue flowers. There's millions of them on it, they're just collecting the honey and the pollen. Same with calendula, you take the really big flower head, if you can. That's another way of doing it as well, because a lot of the time the bees will pollinate each other, and there is a good chance that you're going to get the best variety by always picking the biggest seed head, you know. Now what else is there? Have you any questions so far, guys? Good. Now these lettuces are going to seed. Just to quickly show you, next to this lovely what is it, chard. See, that's actually lettuce is going to seed. Now this is just slightly too small. This definitely is way too small, this little baby one. But this one is just slightly too small. You want it kind of like that big. And then it grows really, really tall. It grows almost as high as me. And you want to get about 4 or 5 of these varieties. But you have to be careful in kind of damp climates. It gets very... the seed heads, when they go to flower, after they go to flower, they can go kind of moldy. So the best way to actually grow them is in some kind of dry area. Maybe if you're in a climate that is wet, you can put some kind of plastic clutch on it, just to keep it dry, and just have like 4 or 5 varieties of the same variety together.
What's the name of this vegetable?
Lettuce.
Ah, c'est de la laitue.
Yeah, lettuce. Yeah.
Je crois que c'était de la...
We go into the tomatoes. I mean, we won't be able to cover all the different vegetables, but all this stuff is anyway on the internet as well, you know.
I have a question about the lettuce.
Go for it, yeah.
If we want it to grow, do we need the other plant? Do they bother it? You know, bother, embêter. Is it a problem? There are other plants all around, you know, for how to grow.
No.
It's okay.
Well, it's a problem if some of them are smothering the others, but usually if they grow next to each other, as long as both plants have enough space, space is very important, alright. I mean, yeah, if you space them too close together, that's actually a good question, because if you space your plants very close together, like for instance carrots, and you don't pull out or cut them with the scissors, you know, in between, and leave the correct spacing, you're going to, all of them are going to be small, rather than just some of them being really big. So actually spacing is very, very important. Okay. You know, the correct spacing is very important.
So here it's okay.
Here's, maybe this is the reason why this is smaller, is because this one here, look at, he's also taking all the nutrients from here.
Ah, but it's the same.
No, this one is no, this is the chard, or some kind of spinach. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we just go over to the tomatoes, but remember that in some cases weeds can actually cross-pollinate with your vegetables, giving you a kind of a seed variety that would be inferior. Kind of, it goes almost back to its original stage because all vegetables come from weeds. They're related. You know. Okay, so we go over to the. So you can see here all the tomatoes, and with the tomatoes, again, like if you're growing several varieties, that's okay too, you know. I mean, you might get a mixture. You might get a true, you know, like a true variety. You might have something that is a little bit mixed up, but it's still a tomato, and you still get lovely tomatoes. But the way to save seeds from tomatoes is you pick again the biggest tomato of the tomato plant, and then the biggest tomato itself. Also, at some stage you cut the top of it as well, so that you only have 3 or 4 trussels. And like this flower is going to make a very big tomato, you know. And then what you do is you take the tomato, you take all the juice out with the seeds, and yeah, there it is. So you basically take the tomato, you take all the juice out with the seeds, and you put it on some newspaper, and you let it dry. Some people also just put the juice in water and leave it there for a few weeks and then take it out. That kind of takes off it kind of starts rotting a bit, but it takes off the slimy layer. You know, the slimy layer kind of rots in the water. But you can also just put them on newspaper, let them dry, and then you just peel them off the thing. Now with the seed as well, you select the biggest seed again. So you get the picture. It's actually, you always save the biggest seed, the biggest plant, the biggest vegetable, you know, the biggest fruit from the plant. And again, like, I mean, here you have several that are very, very small and several that are very big. But in this case, because you're making so many tomatoes here, there is going to be cross-pollination. So, you know, you can do again cages around it with fleece or something like that. Then you get just pick 3 tomatoes or something of the same breed. Also, there's another thing: don't breed from varieties that are called F1 varieties. Only breed from original organic varieties, because it's very important.
Yeah, really.
Elles sont trop proches pour faire des graines. So,
oui, il faut mettre un voile si tu en voulais.
If you wanted to keep some seed here, we should protect species from other species. That is the point.
Yeah, but I mean, in some cases, to be honest, most of these look fairly healthy. Don't use diseased plants, but you know, you can kind of just, if it's just for your own growing, if it's for commercial purposes, you would really want to do this kind of, you know, to make it exact. But I mean, this is how we got these varieties, is by people just mixing things. You know, that's okay too. You know, it's okay to mix things up a bit. So.
It depends on the goal of the garden.
Hey. So here now we have the runner beans, and actually French beans, because we're probably in France. You guys do a lot of the French beans, and these are dwarf beans. So again, we have different varieties of runner beans and French beans, French dwarf beans and French beans there, I think that's what they are. And I found that actually, I've grown a lot of different varieties of beans all together in a tunnel, and I found that actually they don't mix so well. So that's okay. So I think you can grow them together, but I'm not too sure about it, because the experience I had from it is that I still ended up with the same varieties when after I planted them then. So, and with these guys, what you do again is you select the biggest pods, because they come in pods, and you let them grow really, really big and let them go white. They kind of dry out, and once they're dried, the seeds inside are ready to go into storage or something like that. You can put them away. So I'd say if you have any questions, you can be here until tomorrow, anyway. So. And you can email me as well, there's no problem, or you can go into the YouTube, I have a YouTube channel there, Work with Nature it's called, and you can ask me directly there, because I'm very often on there, you know, so I check it. Alright, so cool. Yeah, you understand it all? Yeah?
Yeah, very interesting.